Well, good morning everybody. Well, I say morning, it's about 11:15. We explained in last week's video that poor Eddie was not well at all, constantly throwing up bile and looking really lethargic, no movements out of him. He slept on my bed last night, which he very rarely does, and I got an awful night's sleep because he sleeps diagonally across the bed, so my legs were all crunched up, but I couldn't move him. I was just happy to see him sleeping, you know, nicely. He's woken up this morning, he's a lot brighter. He's been out and barked at a few things, but he's not clear of it. He's still a bit dopey. So I've got to take him back to the vet for 2 o'clock this afternoon. The girls have gone to the village to get some water and some other things. I'm going to jump on the tractor now and I'm going to start clearing some of the land over here. Basically this bank that runs all the way down past the milking parlour. It's got lots of the dead branches and things from the fire still in place. This is what we were cleaning up last week, the last bits of metal. I've dragged together all the brambles and bits that were here. Now, keeping it down like this, the goats are coming in and they're nipping all the leaves off, but when I clean the last bits of this up, I can then come in and level this land and sow it with something. So a lot of stuff everywhere and a lot of stuff that needs organising. I need to still get rid of these piles of rubbish, but it's all on the list to do, and it's bit by bit by bit. How do you eat an elephant? Bit by bit. So I'm going to stick you on the top of the camera. I've got to make my way through all the burnt fencing in there, and I'll explain why as we drive down there. One good thing, look at my back tyre on the tractor. It's still got air in it. So I think I got rid of the rubbish that was creating the leak, thankfully. Because walking up here this morning, I'm like, please don't be flat. So that's a bonus for a start. So let's get on and see what we can achieve today. I think you can see behind me, or as I just drove in here, it looks absolutely terrible in this part of the farm. Cork oak dead. That one survived, but the cork is extremely burnt on it, which means it actually needs removing. Another dead one just there. And look at this lot, they're all dead. Well, 85% of them are dead, and they were lovely big trees. And as you can see, this field is full of more dead trees. The goats are amazing at clearing up the brambles and everything else. Where we're going to go in a minute, you'll see the bank that was very thick with brambles that Yana last summer cleaned all along that bank, chopping it all down. And once you've reduced it in height, the goats come along, keep picking away at the little leaves, and the brambles die. And they've done an amazing job of that bank. It's pretty much spotlessly clean now. But after the fire, the tree was badly burned. Not burned to the point that it burnt it away, but it burnt it so heavily that none of this wanted to reproduce any flowers or anything like that. Now what you normally get is the sucker growth, which is this, and those suckers on a large percentage of our other olive trees down in the bottom that were burnt to nothing, like the whole trunk was gone. The suckers have grown up extremely thickly, and normally what you would do is you would cut off 99% of them and leave yourself with 3 suckers. You'd leave one sucker there, one there, and one on the other side, like at the point of a triangle. And the reason you keep 3 is you've got 1 to be broken or to get damaged, and then you're left with 2, and then after about 3 years you choose the best looking one of those, the strongest one, or the one that's growing with the best branch system on it, and remove the others, or keep keep to if they're very good. But the goats coming along in these areas that are unfenced are nibbling away the fresh growth on these suckers, removing the leaves, the solar panels of a plant, basically, how it photosynthesizes, and then it kills it. So I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we lost 12 olive trees from this terrace alone. So that's pretty sad, really. Now, we're not saying anything yet, but after the fire, we started a tree planting project. And I've been working very hard since the fire, which is about 3.5 years, to come up with something. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to jinx it. But I've had a meeting here on the farm, and I'm hoping in a week, or maybe in the second video, I'm going to have something really interesting to tell you guys. And if it comes off, I'm going to be very happy with it. So that could be something very important for us, this area, the environment, and a lot of other things. So please all keep your fingers crossed. Even though you don't know what it is yet, I could really do with the good vibes to help this project start. So I'm not going to say any more, so we'll leave it there. But as you can see, the farm, well, I think you can see the difference. That the goats haven't attacked there, but they've cleaned this bank. They keep wandering up there, but by that them wandering up there, they're knocking a lot of rocks down. This pile was me beginning to clear an area up before the fire, but I've now got to come in and pull all this stuff away, these dead trees. The fire also, I think some people sort of have said before, oh, the fire. Well, unfortunately, this is what fires do. They cause a big lasting scar on the landscape. In a natural area, not so much, because the environment, a fire can be quite good for the environment in certain ways, cleaning land and allowing fresh things to grow. But when you put that into a farming context, where you come along as a human and start putting in facilities and things like this, it now looks like an absolute mess in here. Fence posts burnt off at the ground, another one burnt off at the ground. Now I did, and I need to stand these up, there's 2 big metal rebars there which I did put next to these posts to help secure them, to stop the goats abusing this fence to get into another piece of fresh land. And it's not worked. After the fire, when everything was still standing up to a degree, I had to tape and stick whatever I could across here and make the place look like an absolute mess. So the wind has blown a piece of tin sheeting across. That needs to get picked up in a minute, but I'm going to use this to come through here. And you'll see in a minute, we're going to drive down there where you can see all the white electric tape along the top. I'm going to push some of the fence over so I can drive through and access the other area of the farm, because at the moment I would normally drive through where the boy goats are, but as the fire destroyed all of that fencing as well, I've removed the gates, because I did have access gates in there I could actually drive all the way through, and that's all been closed up right now. In another 2 weeks the boys will come out, our male goat, and he will then be running with the girls to breed. And whilst he's not in his barn, and he will be living with the girls for a month, 5 weeks, something like that, to give him enough time to make us some babies, I'm going to make him a new compound which is out the way, and then that will free up the passage to continue in front of the building that they stay in. So I've got lots of stuff all over this farm that I'm trying to, it's like juggling balls, you know, I'm trying to keep every project going. And a 32-acre farm and managing it completely alone is a lot of work. You know, I say completely alone, the girls work extremely hard, as you probably saw last week's video, but there's only so much poor Sandra can actually do. And Molly's only a young girl herself, but my God, does she work hard. I'm so proud of that little girl. Well, I call her a little girl, she's 20, but she'll always be my little girl, won't she? So let's rip a hole through this rubbish. My word, look at it, what a mess. Well, I've managed to cut off all the old electrical fence tape. Well, not all of it obviously, but a lot of the sticks over there. So now I've got an access point I can drive through here. What I'm hoping to do is to unpick 85% of this fence, which I think could be resalvageable if I can unpick it properly. We can salvage a lot of the not this one, it's been battered, but these electrical tape holders, insulated holders. The reason we had this fencing and why it's got all the electrical tape across it was this is where we had our 100 chickens in this land, and the electric fencing on the outside actually stopped the fox coming through the fence and getting at the chickens, and that was the best thing I've ever done against a fox. I don't think, you never know, he might well have actually touched it and got a wallop from the voltage, but they know there's something strange going on with that fence. They can sense the electric. So as soon as we put this up, we never had another chicken taken by the fox, and believe you and me, there's got to be more than 5, 6, 7 foxes around here. So that works. If any of you thinking about having chickens, you can put electric tape along the front of your fencing and it will stop them wanting to try and get in there. So right, let's see if we can drive through here. Well, the girls seem to think I could get through the fence behind me here. Well, they might be right. It's not very secure. There's actually quite a long run of fencing that's pretty undamaged, and I don't want to, by driving through, pull and distort it and stretch it, because I'm just going to literally ruin reusable fencing. I do have another access, but that means I've got to drive back out the bottom of the farm, and I come in from lower down the farm and I can come up through some other terraces to this land here, which having that access was another reason why we put the chicken fencing in here, and didn't worry too much about the problem of access, because we had another access point. Or we can drive up there. That might be the better way. Right, I'm going to reposition you guys in the hope that you're not going to move this time. There we go. Well, it's pointless me explaining. Let's go drive there, although it's going to be extremely overgrown. Hey, Eddie. Hey, hello, mate. How you feeling, fella? You a good boy, eh? I hope you're in shot. You can see he looks a little bit better. He's still not right, but another hour and a half and I think the girls are taking him off to the vet. But it's lovely to see him walking around. Before the fire, this track was spotlessly clean, and the fire's created nature to sprout this stuff up to protect the land. So whilst the fire is good, and like I mentioned earlier, for rejuvenating some lands, when you clean somewhere and you get a big fire pass through, you get all this extra rubbish that grows, creating a bigger fire problem for next year. So I've got a couple of weeks, maybe a month left, so I can come up here with the chain on the back of my tractor and cut strips through this to make fire breaks. I've got a lot of work to get on with, really. Just stopped to put the tractor in 4-wheel drive and in low gear, because this is dangerous. I can't see where I'm going, so slow equals safe. Oh, look at that. I hit it right on the money. Before, when the land was cleaned by the old owner, they had big caterpillars and machinery coming in here to cut the trees down, and they've made an entrance here, so it's like a ramp, and I found it spot on. That was good. We just made that down through there without any problems. Don't know if you can see the land here. There's lots of little bushes on the ground. That's brambles, and these brambles used to grow up into the base, into the canopy of these trees. I've come in with strimmers before, cut all the brambles down to the ground, and the goats keep coming in here, and you can see the brambles don't grow. I think probably by the end of this summer, the goats keep attacking these, they'll all be dead. And all this on the left is what I want to try and clear up. As I mentioned a few moments ago in the video, that is the bank that Jana cleaned, and it was bigger than this lot of brambles. This was the tailing end off of the brambles. There was much higher and much thicker with it, and you can see the goats are attacking all the bramble bushes. See, there's one there sticking up. They're not getting any bigger than this now. There's some here that they're eating, they're there, so they're doing a really good job of that. This is where Molly had her fire last week, because Jana put a nice tidy row of the brambles. You can just about see the dry patch there, which Molly dragged over there to burn. So those goats are doing a very good job. Yeah, that's a bit sad. That is probably 250 metres of our orange tree terrace, which we've got down by the house. This was the watering system. One tap and it would water every single tree. Let's get on and clean this rubbish up then. I think you can see that looks a bit different. Don't get me wrong, that's not finished, but what that does do is when you pull out brambles in big thick lumps like that, where they're tangled together, more than normally pulls the roots out of the majority of the brambles, which that has done. But now, like that, the goats will get in here and they will munch into all of this and help keep that down. I'm going to clean all of that, and then I'm going to clean this terrace in here, and I will probably plough up to about there and plough this little section in. There you go, there's some brambles with the roots pulled out. That bit missed the bucket, so I'm now going to come in and push it all into an area that we can come up and burn. The girls have left Castello Branco with Eddie. I've just had a cup of tea. I've collected my large chainsaw and I've come back out here to chop that lower hanging branch off this tree. It's not a cork tree. It's an oak tree, but it's not a cork. It looks like a cork tree. It has got a spongy bark on it, but it's not a cork tree. And here come some of the goats. I'm just going to start the chainsaw on the ground, then turn it off, then get myself in the position so it restarts more easily, and then I'm going to get on with chopping the branch off. And what I'll do here is I'll chop off the outer limbs, and then I'll take off the larger bit back to the main part of the tree so there's less weight on it. Done. Oh, that looks better already. Maybe you can't quite see it on the camera, but that's opened the whole terrace up. Goats are enjoying it. They're on the piles I've already created of the brambles and everything else. They're a bit put off by the noise of the tractor and the movement, but when I disappear in a bit, they'll come down here. Some of our more regular viewers that watch our channel, well, you should all be more regular viewers, so, and that reminds me, if you guys haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Please give the video a thumbs up if you like it. By subscribing, you're helping our channel grow, which allows us to earn a little bit more money from YouTube, which we desperately need to run the farm. So we really would appreciate it if you are interested in what we get up to. Please hit the subscribe button. 2 or 3 weeks ago in one of the videos, we were working away and Molly, bless her, well, it was actually Sandra, found my Zippo lighter that had been out in the farm for over a year, lost, and we found it working. I lose little bits of tools and things like that quite regularly when you're working around the farm on the tractor, and I've brought some metal wire cutters up here, because as you can see there is some fencing that was here, and I think more than likely that was for supporting some grapevines that probably grew along here that I've never actually seen, but it wasn't fencing. It just had the wire strand in it, which is like this, and that was connected down to the pole over there at the base of the tree I've just cleaned. And with the price of everything in this world going up to a stupid level, I've salvaged that wire. I've just snipped it off, and as I was rolling it up, I'm just staring at the ground. Can you see it? I found one of my penknives. Now I would say, yep, that's been through the fire. Probably not a lot of good for anything, but it's nice to find it. 32 acres of land, you lose 2 tiny little items and then you walk right on top of them and there they are. I could have spent months looking for that. It does look very, very rusty. But anyway, how strange is that to come across something like that? I've made one pile here. You can see there's still some random bits around, and by keeping a fire of a reasonable size and making 2 of them, I'm not going to create one enormous great bonfire. And like this, as that fire is burning down, we can slowly add these extra random pieces to the fire and keep the fire under some sort of control. Even a relatively small bonfire on the ground can make 3-meter long flames, so I think that's the way I'm going to do that. I've got a little bit more cleaning on this bank to do here. Just going to pull this lot off the edge. There's probably some more wire. There's another concrete post there, so we'll see if we can salvage some more wire from that we can reuse on the farm, because later on, before I put the fencing up along here on the wooden posts, I want to actually pull the concrete posts. You might be able to see 3 or 4 of them there. I'm going to pull them out of the ground and these where I can come in from the top and just pull them out of the ground with a bucket, and then we can save those because they will be useful for other things. That's one pile of the wood there. There's brambles and the rest of the rubbish in it, but it's looking a little better down here. I don't know if it shows it on camera, but to me it's looking a bit better. Good boy. You feel better, mate?
He's just had his meds.
Oh, Eddie. You would have seen earlier in the video me cleaning some of the, well, one of the terraces. Then I've gone on and I've started to do some clearing of, I probably cleaned about 6 hectares of 6 foot tall scrub land, which I'll take you up shortly and I'll show you what I've already done. But I noticed when I was cutting, the machine wasn't cutting quite as wide as it normally does, and that's because the cutting chains here, basically this should reach to there. I'm going to take these off. I wanted to show you, in case anybody's going to come out here and buy a tractor like this. This is a swivel link here, and there's a pin in there that I've got to knock out. Then I can take this clamp off and I can replace the chain. And this is the replacement chain. It's not cheap. I think that was about 45 euros. You can see how fat this is. I'll show you the difference from the wear of this swinging around, hitting rocks and things like that. Hammer and a punch. Bit of looby dooby. What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, come on, guys, I've got to get on. I've got to get on.
Go on, Tilly.
Come on.
You're just jealous.
There we go. And that falls out like that. That's the bit that goes up in there, and that's the worn out bit of chain. I think you can see how thin it's worn away. And what actually happens is, it wears right through it and then the link falls away, it destroys it, it eats itself. And it's not light. Yeah, I reckon it's that one. That means I want to cut that one off. So if we're going to give it 2 more links, that would be the cut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is 9. I'm going to use the blue Etty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cut number 10. That's how thick they are. They're very thick. So let's put this one back on and just double check it's spot on. Both sides have got to be the same length, otherwise it'll be out of balance and it shakes. Right, now the pin's coming out of here. I'll put that in there. There we go. You might think, well, that doesn't look secure. Well, believe me, in 10 years they ain't come off. That's exactly how you want it, just a little bit there.
Just some clearance.
Well, obviously when it's centrifugal force, it'll really extend it. So, time to do the other one.
Dad's just put the right hand side one on, this one.
It's the old one. It's lost 2 links off the end. But that's a good 2 years work. I think you can see I'm back in the driveway. That didn't go so well, did it? So much for my getting on this morning after putting the new chains on the cutter. I did smoke the clutch on this yesterday. Now you might wonder what you mean by the clutch. I don't mean the clutch in the tractor. I hope you're going to be able to see this. There's 2 metal plates there, and there should be some clutch discs that go in there. And these are the clutch discs. And what those do is, if this gets caught up in something, or like I've been doing, cutting very, very, very thick bushes that really are are locking this up. This bar that turns this runs all the way on nearly all tractors, all the way through here, and it goes right into the back of the engine, basically where the clutch of your car would fit. And if you don't have a clutch on this, or what they call a shear pin, which is a bolt that can break under extreme pressure, it can break that shaft right inside your engine, and that means you've really damaged your engine and you've got an expensive repair on your hands. So these clutch discs are extremely good. And so with the extra chain that we've now got on the machine, it's cutting more, it's got more resistance. I did about half an hour's work and it just packed up. So, and what that means now is there's no friction between those two plates, and when the chains are coming in contact with the ground, they're not really turning, but the tractor's working okay. So I've come back down to the house and I'm going to fit the new clutch plates. So it's the following morning. I've fixed all the clutch plates in the machine. It took me quite a few hours to do it, to take it apart and clean everything up and put it back together. And by the time I'd finished, it was so late in the afternoon, I went and did some other jobs. So I thought I'd wait till this morning to carry on my work. What were we saying earlier in the video? Is something trying to stop me getting on, or what? And guess where the compressor is? At the top of the farm. I don't believe it. Oh well, such is life. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you pumping the tyres up, but I'm going to take you up to the piece of land at the top that I've been cleaning, if I can get the tyre to blow up, which I should be able to. So, see you in a moment. Right, well, this is a part of what I've been cleaning. It goes right down there over the crest, and I've started to clean in here. These little eucalyptus you see here, these were never here. Those spread from the root. It could be coming from the roots from the plantation there, or it could be coming from the eucalyptus we've got further down there. Eucalyptus can pass a route 2.5 kilometres in search of water. Then after a fire along that root line, they can throw up fresh trees. So this is what the chain does, and I've been passing it. It was full of pine trees. I mean, there's huge bits of, well, you can't see some of them, but some of them are pretty thick bits of pine. The chain will smash it all up, but it's this stuff. Some of the bushes in there are as big as me, and big, fat and round. So I'm going to do a bit of cleaning, and thought you guys might want to see the machine in action and see how it cleans this rubbish.
Thank you for making it this far into this week's video, and I'd like to say a special thank you to Sue Elston, and for anyone else wanting to support the channel further, all of the links for that are in the description below. I would say see me back here next week, but I won't be here next week as I will be on holiday in Portimao. So see Dad back here next week. So don't forget to hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any new videos. Don't forget to like and leave us a comment, and we will get back to you. So see you next week.